If you want to jump higher, this is gonna be one of the most important videos that you ever watch. And it is all about periodization. Periodization is quite literally planning training so that you jump high during specific times of the year and so that you continue making progress years and years down the line and bust through any plateaus that you might run into.
So guys, a disclaimer for this, I just want to say that there are a lot of different ways to define periodization, and I am sure that there are going to be people out there that disagree with our definitions. I have tried to clearly, concisely, and concretely define this so that you guys are able to digest the information that we are about to share with you guys.
Before we get into the different types of periodization, first we have to define two things, and they are volume and intensity. Intensity can be broken down into three things. First one is it single joint versus multi-joint? The second way you can add intensity is through how fast you're moving. And the third way that we can add intensity is by the amount of load that you're using, usually measured by the percent of your 1 rep max. And then volume is basically how much work you're doing, and that can be defined by three things, and they are sets and reps in a workout, the time interval of whatever it is that you're doing is taking, and then the distance that you are moving your body or weight.
So the first thing that you need to consider is which physical qualities you're trying to improve and in which order you're going to improve those qualities. The specific order that you take is called sequential. Typically, you want to pick physical qualities that build on top of each other. So for example, we'll typically start with a cycle that is focused on building the structure of your body. This could be your tendons, your bones, your muscles. Then we typically move on to hypertrophy, which is building up the cross-sectional area of the muscle, then strength, then power, then elasticity. So in that sequence, we would call that sequential periodization. Now you could also do non-sequential periodization, and this would be basically doing whatever quality you feel like you want to work on. In a lot of cases, athletes that have a deficit of a certain ability, whether it's strength or elasticity or speed, will do non-sequential periodization because they've already developed a physical quality to a point or an adaptive reserve at that quality where they probably need to focus on something else and bring up that deficit so that they're able to improve.
Hold up, before we get into the second way of planning training, I realize it might be too much work for some of you guys to fully understand and scientifically plan out your training. So for you guys, I would say, let the professionals handle it. Have Isaiah and John write your own training at THPstrength.com. You can sign up for online training if you click the link in the description.
The second way that we can plan training is by focusing on the number of physical qualities that we are focusing on. Now, there are three different types of periodization that we can use to focus on the number of qualities, and they are block periodization, concurrent periodization, and conjugate periodization. In block periodization, we are focusing on just one quality to the exclusion of all other qualities, and this is what your prototypical cookie cutter jump program that you would see out there usually does, and they'll focus usually on max strength with nothing else in place. Then they'll go and focus on power with nothing else, and then they might take weights completely out of the program and just focus on jumping on the final cycle. The second way that you can plan things is with concurrent periodization. In this, you basically just do everything all at once, and a good example of this is most basketball programs. Basketball programs will usually have you focusing on basketball every single day, on top of weight training, on top of jump sessions. And then the final form is conjugate periodization, which is basically an emphasized concurrent periodization model. You focus on multiple qualities all at once, but you emphasize one and then drop the emphasis on all other qualities. The benefit of this is that you're able to improve a certain quality without detraining the other qualities.
Is this thing on? So the last factor to look at when you're planning training, stop laughing. The last factor to look at when you're planning training is volume and intensity. If you're gonna have an increase in intensity over time and a decrease in volume over time, this is gonna be known as linear periodization or linear planning. The other option is undulating, and in this example, you're going to have waves of certain things that you're working on. You could actually add in which physical quality in a certain wave, or you could just talk about volume or intensity. So in undulating periodization, you're going to have manipulations in your volume and intensity, either day to day, week to week, or month to month. In our training, we actually do take advantage of undulating periodization, but within the week. There are programs out there that will take advantage of it month to month or even year to year. Periodization can be split up into a microcycle, mesocycle, and a macrocycle. A microcycle is typically a week, a mesocycle is typically a month, and a macrocycle is typically a year. So you could undulate microcycle to microcycle, mesocycle to mesocycle, or macrocycle to macrocycle. So in conclusion, guys, we went over the physical qualities and whether you can do one or many at a time. We talked about volume and intensity and how you can plan those according to if it's linear or if it's undulating. And we talked about whether you're going to keep it in a sequence or non-sequential, just working on whatever deficit you have. In THP, we actually do something called long conjugate sequence systems. And what that means is that we're working on all of the qualities in different amounts, in different time periods or different amounts of time. What this allows us to do is take advantage of each individual adaptation and build on top of it in each sequential cycle that we do. So for example, an athlete may start building up the structure of their body, but we're not gonna necessarily allow ourselves to detrain power or elasticity during that cycle. We also don't necessarily follow traditional sequences. We will actually take things out of traditional orders. Just experientially, I've seen Isaiah doesn't really respond to the traditional structural hypertrophy, max strength, power, and elastic sequence that most other athletes do. Part of this is that 2-foot jumping is so fueled by max strength that if you spend 3 months doing power or elasticity, you're typically gonna detrain that quality. I will say that we do like to take advantage of block periodization and other elements, and it is very complex, so I can't really concisely, clearly, concretely define exactly what we do. You can actually combine all of the things we talked about for endless possibilities. You could undulate day to day, you could undulate month to month, year to year. You could do a linear undulating periodization technically inside of a day or inside of a week. You could do multiple qualities at one time and have undulating or linear periodizations inside of each individual quality. And that is why it is so complex to succinctly describe what periodization is and how to do it. That is what my job is, and it is what I specialize in and have studied essentially since I was 12 years old. So if you guys are interested in that, if you're interested in improving as an athlete, go to THPstrength.com and sign up for coaching. Isaiah.
All right, guys, I know we just threw a ton of information at you guys, and it's pretty difficult to wrap your head around. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. Me and John are gonna go through the comments for the first couple of days and answer as many as we want. We wanna see some good discussion between you guys. It's always really fun to see some of the questions you guys ask. But yeah, hopefully you guys like that video, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out. Out of here, baby.
I was gonna freestyle, but I remembered that I can't freestyle.
I love you, CJ.
CJ, Overlord, we miss you.
Hi, CJ.
Isaiah.
Oh, I see a wild John has appeared.
Yeah, we hope we made
If you're
you
giggling
chuckle.
right now, then my day is complete. All right, bye.
Bye, CJ.